How you doing, everybody? It's Jay Nanda, San Antonio Metal Music Examiner for Access.com, with a band that is currently making noise with every passing day, representing the Alamo City here in San Antonio. Say hello to David Work on guitars and keys, Daniel Ross on drums, Alan Lozano on vocals, Dominic Cerna on guitars. Collectively, they are known as The Taking. Gentlemen, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Of course,
Welcome. You guys have probably been big up on social media. The Taking has really been hitting up a storm lately, and it's all because of, well, about 10 days ago, they had their CD release party here in town at Fitzgerald's Bar, releasing their debut self-titled CD, The Taking. Go pick it up. Big crowd at Fitzgerald's turned out, and it was a big night for the band. I know I was there, a hell of a show, and I know just with every passing day, like I said, things are going to be getting bigger and better for these guys. Let me hear it in your words. How special of a night? Just go around the room. How special of a night was it leading up to that?
Man, it was electrifying. It was incredible. By far, one of the most lasting moment shows that I've played so far.
Danny?
It was just, everyone we knew was there, friends, even friends we haven't seen in so long, they showed up, and it was just, an incredible, uplifting night. It was just a great rock show.
It was. We couldn't have asked for a better night. The turnout was great. The show went great. I think we played really well, and we were just so excited to get the new record out, and it was a great night. Can't say enough about it. It was awesome.
Yeah, from very start to finish, it was just, the crowd was amazing. I wish I could have seen the lasers a little bit more, but it was too late now. But yeah, and one of the special things that I'll take with me about that is there were so many new faces there, and they were just into it. I was like, can I curse on here now?
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever you feel.
Honestly, I was like, fuck yes, like new faces.
That's what we like.
Yeah, new faces, and this, they were just, completely just into everything we were doing, and afterwards, just talking with everybody, it was a good night.
If the ratings go down from this, we'll just blame Dom's foul language. It's okay.
Yeah.
We know where the source
Sorry,
is.
kiddos.
No, it's all right. But yeah, and of course, all the fans that showed up had the option of walking home with one of these for free. How many bands do that? I was talking to Dom earlier and saying, in all the times I've been at Fitzgerald's, I had never seen the bar that packed or a band with a laser show like that. So, Daniel, you just touched on a little bit that it was a little nerve-wracking. I would imagine, obviously, leading up to it with your friends and family here in town. Just talk about that a little bit. Was it just also a huge relief once it was over, or just how much were the nerves a factor going into it?
Right before the show, we were out backstage just getting ready to go on, and I've never felt like so much pressure, honestly. But once you get going, like after that first note, it's like you're just having fun, But the moments, even days and weeks before the show, is just like this, like cumulative pressure, just building up, and then all of a sudden you're having fun and doing what you love, So.
Well, the first single is called Never See Me Again. It's been blowing up, like we said, on social media. The album is available now since it was released 10 days ago. Go get it on iTunes and Amazon and so forth. Other great songs on there. I really love Live for the Pain. Get Some, Torn to Pieces, the ballad. It's just a very diverse album. You guys categorize yourselves as electronic rock. Whose idea was that when you started forming? Was that an effort to just be different, because you don't see a lot of bands out there that are labeling themselves in that fashion?
Well, what ended up happening is we started writing music for the record, and we all kind of made up our mind that we didn't have any boundaries. We weren't going to be afraid to experiment with, keyboards, and we're using synth bass, and we're using some electronic drum loops and stuff like that, and that's music that we've all grown up with, and it just came out naturally like that. We had, when we're here in our studio, we did most of the recording, all the song, or most of the record, we recorded it here. So we had a lot of time to experiment. We had a lot of time to grow. We had a lot of time to develop our own sound. And that's just kind of the direction that it took. We didn't want to necessarily try to mold it. It just kind of happened like that.
Right.
So, we love all of those electronic elements. We love rock music. We love metal music. We love all types of music. So it was, I think it was just a natural flow for us. Yeah.
The way that, we were able to kind of merge these worlds and blend these worlds together, I think that's exactly what we had in mind, and it came out well.
And I was going to ask about that because, at the show, you guys had your taste of The Rock, and then you also threw in Bulls on Parade from Rage Against the Machine as your one cover song to show just how heavy you guys can get, and to also exemplify the influences that have spawned you guys as a band. So do you have a preference, one or the other, or just do you take pride in being a band that can bring it from all levels?
We definitely take pride in being that band to push the boundaries of the industry right now, and I feel like we're not on top of it yet, but we're still growing to. I mean, every day we're growing, no matter what we're doing. I mean, Dom was talking about he's already been writing for everything. I mean, we're constantly writing. We're constantly trying to be better musicians. So.
And another reason you're going to be hearing about these guys, especially if you're watching from around the country and you haven't heard of The Taking lately, is because they have latched on with the management company that also represents a band you might have heard of called Disturbed. So, I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. I believe they're called, JGM Management Company? JBM. How did that come about? And it actually ties into, I was going to ask you guys some social media questions from some of our followers and readers and yours as well. And one of them was from a woman named Tammy on Twitter. She wanted to know how long you guys have been playing as a band before you were discovered by TJ.
The band kind of took form as The Taking in, it was like late 2012, early 2013.
Yeah, I'd say early 2013.
Early 2013. That's when The Taking formed. We had all the members together. We went under the new name as The Taking, so probably early 2013 is when the band started. And we hooked up with TJ. When did we hook up? TJ is our manager with JBM. We hooked up with him
almost a year ago. It was it'll be a year just after South by this year.
Yeah, it'll be a year after this April. And that's actually where we met him. We had been in touch with him. Actually, it's a funny story about TJ. So our manager, his brother lives in LA. And one of our tracks, it's actually on the record, it's called The Bitter End, was spinning in LA on one of the morning shows. And he was just driving around and he heard the song and they mentioned that it was by The Taking, and right away TJ's brother called him. He said, "Hey TJ, you got to check these guys out." So TJ reached out to us, and it was actually a crazy coincidence. We get this email. It's like, "Hey, I'm TJ. I'm with JBM. I'm representing Disturbed, and my brother told me about you guys." I was like, "What?"
I thought it was a joke at
couldn't
first.
believe that email.
Yeah, so it was like, awesome, So he's based out of Chicago. His company's based out of Chicago. And we got word that he was going to be at South by Southwest last year. So we took a drive up there. We were doing some networking up at South by last year, but we drove up specifically to meet him. So we met him. We had a great time with him. We were cruising around Austin together. It was a lot of fun. And soon thereafter, we brought him down for a show. We showcased for him, and we signed on with him that same weekend. So we're super excited to be working with him and his team, and feel very fortunate to be able to say that we're working with them.
Fabulous. Now, obviously this is the debut full-length album, but I know you guys played a couple of other songs at the show that are not on the record, and I know one of them is called Anywhere, which was used as a video montage for the Spurs last year during the playoffs. Just go ahead and say that that's why they won the championship last year. But, pretty official there.
We had a
anyway.
hand in that.
So, was that one of the first songs you guys ever wrote? And also, I love I Won't Remember a Thing. It was another great song that you guys played that is not on this record. So, I don't want to say they were leftovers. Were they older songs before you started writing these songs, or were they songs that just happened to not make the record?
They were, with those songs, we felt with the consistency of the record, that we didn't feel like it would mesh with the full consistency of the record, because they are, one's over on this side of the spectrum and one's over on this side of the spectrum. But they're both extremely well-written songs, in my opinion. They definitely had it was so hard to make the cuts on the record because we had almost 20 songs to choose from, and all of them were hits, in my opinion. You know.
Yeah, that was definitely you know, when we first joined on with TJ and their management company, he had a plan for us, and he said, okay, this is what I want y'all to do, guys. I want y'all to put a record together. And we said, okay, well, you know, we had a huge body of music, and I'll never forget the meeting that we had here in the studio, and we were all in the room together, and we had all the list of songs, and I was like, all right, guys, we can only have 10.
Yeah.
It was
And
sad.
I was like, oh man, and
blood was shed.
yeah, and even Dominic said at the end of the meeting, he was like, man, that went better than I thought, because I mean, we were like, there were songs that we all felt really passionate about the music, and it was like, well, I want this song to be on the record, but this song, I don't know which one's gonna make the cut, and
Just the drive over here was just like, man, I need
Yeah.
to stop by and get some headgear or something.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was definitely a memorable meeting, making the cuts for the
But
record.
also, it really, at the end of the meeting, when everything went so smoothly, like, it really showed how much we were just together on this.
Right.
You know, and it brought us closer together because of it, so.
So it sounds weird to ask about the next record when you just released your debut album about 10 days ago, but is it safe to say those songs will be on the next record? Or
They very well could be.
Yeah, they
You
could
know,
be,
There's
you know,
no
we're,
rules.
yeah, you know, I was just telling David that, you know, I feel this is a great record. There's some great writing on that record and everything like that. But this next record, I want to blow that out of the water.
Yeah.
So you never know. You know, we're always writing, come up with new music. So it's
And really, that's kind of the double-edged sword about being a musician. You know, you have all this build-up, getting ready to release the record, when in the back of your mind you're like, let's write another record.
I'm
you
tired
know?
of it already.
Yeah, you know, so it's a constant flow of creativity. But I mean, that's what we do. You know, so it comes naturally, and I know even Dominic, you know, he feels at home when he's in the studio and writing and producing, and David too. I mean, all of us. You know, Daniel's a fantastic engineer, and I'm the only one in the band that's not.
It doesn't do shit.
I'm not a. I'm not a studio engineer per se. But
he's
a
a hell of a
great
producer.
lyricist.
Yeah.
And he's the one that hears everything, and he's like, I could hear this over here.
Right.
I'm not feeling that part. He's kind of like the conductor in a lot of ways. You
Yeah,
know?
his,
We looked
his
at
production
him.
skills are just.
Yeah, we looked to him for, hey man, is this good or not?
Yeah.
You know.
And then I just tell him, okay, I have an idea. Y'all record it. I'm not gonna do it. Y'all record it. So we're very very fortunate to have a lot of great minds, a lot of talented members, writing wise, tech wise, everything, production wise, studio wise. So, and actually when we're here in the studio, we have our main studio over here, and what we do is we set up an entire separate desk over here, and we have dueling studios going on.
Sometimes
so,
three.
Sometimes three. Yeah, so sometimes we'll have one studio over here, the main studio will be over here, Dominic will be over here in studio, so it's like studio A, B, and C, all in one room.
Yeah.
And all the guys have their headphones on, Daniel will be over there mixing, and it's a really interesting thing to be able to be a
And
part
we
of.
each just
so.
have such different skill sets.
Uh-huh.
When we come together, it's like a transformer, you know. It's like we just, it's perfect. We love our setup.
it's great to hear of a band that knows its role and appreciates what every member brings to the table.
Absolutely.
That being said, what was the approach during your formation that you did not want to have a physical bass player? And is that something you may look to have down the road?
Well, originally, Alan was actually playing our bass. He played bass.
He tried.
He played bass for a good while, and then we just decided that the frequencies and the tones and everything like that, it just wasn't cutting through to what we had on the record.
Uh-huh.
And the record, all the synth bass that we're working with, I mean, yeah, we could probably hire a keyboard player to do that, but you know, this is family right here, and if we're gonna hire another member, we gotta start looking for another brother. It takes a little bit of a time.
And really, you know, like David was saying, a bass guitar has its own personality. And it depends on what kind of music you're trying to get out there. A bass guitar has a different attack, it has a different tone. And it was working. We were doing the electronic rock and I was playing bass. It was kind of work. I mean, it was working okay, but it was like, man, I miss that. Once you start working with synth bass, at least for me, I think it's, you know, once you start working with it, it's hard to get away from it because it sounds so fat and warm, and the frequencies, and you know, you can have the pulse of it and the attack, and
There's also a sub bass that's there too.
we're also incorporating sub bass, and that's what gives it a lot of the electronic qualities that we have. But once you start, especially messing with it in the studio, once you have that synth bass in there, woo,
So you fuse like the synth bass sound with your regular modern rock guitars. You put them together. You have the take.
Right.
Yeah. Now, if you guys happen to notice a little resemblance between these two, there's a good reason for that. They are brothers, even though I learned from a very reliable source that Daniel likes to use his middle name.
Yes, I do.
Only by blood, though. They're only related by blood.
So if you see the credits, you see 4 different last names. Hey, how can they be brothers? That's the reason. Any particular reason, preference for you in that regard?
You know, I thank my parents every day for giving me a cool middle name, and just always wanted to go by it.
He was adopted.
There's the reason secret came out.
And ever since I was little, I just always liked my middle name, and it just kind of stuck. So.
Yeah.
Daniel Ross.
There you go. And as for these two, Dominic and David, wanted to ask you about how you guys decide your guitar splits as far as solos. You flip a coin. You say, hey, I wrote it, I'm keeping it, or hey, this sounds better for you. Is there a mixture? How you guys decide that?
Man,
Well, keep in mind, you know, he does a lot more singing than I do.
yeah.
So we have to count. We have to really factor that in to split it up, and you know, because that's definitely not easy with the shit that we're doing these days.
No. I mean, Dom and I like to keep things pretty much equal as much as possible. We don't like to, you know, be like, oh, I'm the lead guitar player, or he's the lead guitar player. You know, we're both decent guitar players, and if we want to take a lead part, then that's something that we discuss between each other. If it's something that I'm singing on, which is more difficult to sing while playing lead, then I'll be like, yo, Dom, take this one.
Right.
I'll get that one.
Okay.
Kind of deal like that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's never really an issue while trying to pick out.
And you know,
who
it always
plays
meets in the middle too, because you know, a few of our songs we end up doing dual guitar solos together, so it works out cool.
Right. That's something that's always intrigued me about bands. You know, I had the pleasure a couple of years ago of asking none other than Kerry King about it when Jeff Hanneman was still alive in Slayer, about how they split up their solos. So it's always intrigued me about, you know, bands. Obviously, every band is different.
Yeah.
So it's always a question I like to ask.
And sometimes they just take it out back, and you know,
Yeah.
whoever walks back in gets the part.
Get that part.
Whoever's on the ground, they don't get that part.
Sounds fair to me. All right.
No.
Well, speaking of your questions, we got a couple that you guys submitted on social media, so I'll go ahead and ask those. Becky from via Twitter wanted to know, basically for any of you or all of you, how difficult is it juggling family life with all the band obligations such as studio time, recording, and whatnot?
Go for it.
I mean, it's very difficult to be away from our significant others. Like my wife and I, we've been together now for 6 years, I think. Been married for 2, but I mean, it's definitely very difficult to be away from that person that you love so much. But they also understand in the same aspect that this is our passion and this is our you know, what we love to do as well. You know, and having that mutual respect for each other at the beginning of the relationship definitely helps longer ways down the road. So.
Daniel?
You know, for me, I just got engaged, and
Congrats.
thank you. And you know, my family, you know, my fiance, they have the attitude of, you know, y'all on the road for 2 weeks. Why isn't it 4 weeks? You know, like, y'all need to get busy. Y'all need to, get out there, get what you've been working on all these years, get it heard. So everyone's behind us 180%, and everyone wants to see it happen. Everyone wants to see it fly, and everyone's, supporting us with open arms.
I think the main thing that we all have together as a band is, we all have an immense amount of respect for each other, and we understand that family stuff comes up. We understand that everyone has their obligations with their family, and we really do everything we can to accommodate everybody, accommodate everyone's schedule, and because family is very important to us. But I have to back Daniel up on it too. This is what we do, and this is our job, and we treat it as such. And when it's time to come to the studio, when it's time to rehearse, when it's time to perform, when it's time to hit the road, it's time to work, and we treat it like that. And we take it 100% seriously. So we do what we can, but we know what we have to do, and our family is behind us. And just like Daniel said, y'all are going out for 20 days, should be 50. So we know what we have to do, and like David said, it's definitely a sacrifice, but this is what we're in it to win it.
Yeah.
So that's what we do.
And Dom, for you?
Yeah. Well, I just had a baby about a year ago. He just turned 1. Thank you.
You guys are learning everything about the taking here today.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
so it's when we have studio time, when we have to be out of town or anything like that. Yeah, it's tough, but my fiance, God bless her, she's super supportive, and she knows that I didn't go to school to be a doctor or a lawyer. I didn't even graduate high school. So this is all I know, and it's more than a passion or hobby for me. It's much more powerful and deep than that. And the fact that we're so close to something really special, especially now having TJ, having our backs.
Yeah.
The sky's the limit, and when I sometimes question myself about what I do,